Earlier this year, during National Small Business Week, two experts joined me on the show to talk about the challenges facing minority business owners and how best to overcome them. At the top of the list, funding and marketing. Here's a portion of my interview with Nicole Farmer of Lifeline Business Consulting Services and Mark Lee of the Lee Group.
Detroit has always been a city of innovators. And what I'm noticing is that more and more people want to certainly land here and do things, but I think in the same vein, the challenges that we have are very similar. The number one challenge for all businesses, particularly amongst women and minority-owned businesses, access to capital.
Yeah.
And that is something that we want to be able to articulate on May the 14th. Is there are different types of resources out there for you, both the traditional and the non-traditional. So some of the challenges that you may see at large are certainly very similar when it comes to women and minority-owned businesses as well.
And access to capital, as Mark says, you've got traditional and non-traditional avenues to try to take care of that problem. For minority and women-owned businesses, though, the non-traditional paths are the ones that seem to be growing and sort of expanding, and now make it almost so that you don't need that traditional lending sector.
It's actually a lot easier. I mean, you have different organizations like Kiva, for instance. You need that $5,000 seed, and you just need someone like myself to back you. We're there for you just to get you launched so that you can start to test your product to see who likes it. A lot of times we are not feeling very confident about our business either, and so we really need to start building up our confidence and testing our product with the customers that we think that would like to purchase our products.
And where is the capital coming for these non-traditional sources? Where's that coming from?
Well, what I love right now is that there's so many different foundations that are coming together and creating this funding ecosystem. And then one of our funders is actually the Detroit Micro Enterprise Fund, the Detroit Development Fund with the Michigan Women's
Development Fund, right? Yeah.
Yes, with the Michigan Women's Foundation, and Huntington Bank has actually provided a $25 million loan fund for us so that we can start to get this money out into the streets, so we can start building our neighborhoods and seeing these entrepreneurs flourish in our neighborhoods.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the number of minority and women-owned businesses in the open. If you just hear those numbers, you would think, well, the city's economy should be in much better shape, and people should have more jobs and more money in their pockets. What's the disconnect there?
I think the disconnect, though, while we have a significant number of minority-owned businesses in the city of Detroit, people still want to get their messaging out there. The awareness levels of those businesses are strong, but they need to become stronger. I think the other challenge that you will see in Detroit, a lot of businesses across all veins of business still fail. There's a lack of success with respect within 18 months. So while the numbers may be high, there's a great level of churn.
Right.
And we got to figure out the best way to get the information in their hands so they can become sustainable and successful over time.
And what's the main reason that these businesses fail?
You know, it's strategic planning. I'm always an advocate. If you have an idea, I have a lot of people, Steve, who come to me and approach me and say, Mark, I have a great idea. My first question is, what's your plan?
What's your plan?
Yeah, and unless you have that plan, you're not going to be always successful. And I think once you have that plan, it lays a foundation, a direction for you to become successful long term.
Right. And in your consulting business, you probably see this all the time.
Exactly.
People just not prepared.
They're not prepared, and they don't have a team. And so we actually provide accountants for them. We provide lawyers for them, because a lot of times they cannot technically afford.
They don't have that. Sure.
Right. They don't have that. And so now they have not a clue even how to spell the word financial, much less understand what a P&L statement is.
Right.
And so now giving them the tools in their toolbox so that they can fix that car in the proper way, that's what we love to do.
Right. Right. I want to talk more generally about Detroit. We are seeing this incredible new private investment of capital in certain areas, in downtown and in midtown. It's starting to trickle out into the neighborhoods, I think, slowly. I think in the next 5 years we'll see that happen. One of the things that people are really concerned with is how many minority and women-owned businesses are getting to participate in that rebirth. I live downtown. I notice as much as anybody that dearth of people who look like us, who seem to be participating. What's the answer to that?
You know, I think that we have to somehow get the message out there across the entire city. Detroit's 139 square miles. And yes, you're right, there's a lot of investment, a lot of things happening downtown and midtown. Nothing is wrong with that. I don't want to misconstrue. But I think the challenge again, Stephen, is how do we get that information into the neighborhoods? Northwest Detroit, for example, Livernois Avenue is hot. A lot of investment.
No question.
Okay, how do we take that investment from Livernois to the other parts of the city? So to answer your question, the challenge is going to continue to be to make sure that people understand the access to capital, understand that we have resources in the city, in the neighborhoods to become successful. We got to figure out how to get that message out there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, actually, with my consulting firm, Lifeline, we've actually started to go into the churches.
Okay.
So
Well,
going into the churches and now providing the one-on-one coaching, providing the consulting, providing these tools so that everyone can get on board and understand what the funding is. And so we're actually doing different pop-ups from east, west, north, and south so that everyone can get on board. And so once you start to see that your next door neighbor got some funding, when you start seeing your next door neighbor's sweet potato pie is now being placed at different organizations and they're getting great hot connections, then now you're ready to jump on board the next year. So it's really about confidence. We really don't have the confidence in our city because we've been so depressed for so long. And so once we start seeing our neighbor taking off, then I think that we'll start seeing more individuals taking off as well in the neighborhoods.
I mean, it sounds from both of you like the focus, your focus is more in the neighborhoods than it is downtown in Midtown. But is there a connection between that activity that we see in downtown and Midtown and the sort of rising economy in those areas and the neighborhoods?
I think so. For instance, I have a client, Miss Jones, Ayana Jones. She has a company called Pedicures and Shoes.
Okay.
She's a young lady, married, several children, and she has this brilliant idea of bringing pedicures and shoes together, and we found her a place downtown.
Is that right?
So now connecting her to a space downtown, now connecting her with the funding that she needs for a startup, connecting her with the free grants now. So really asking everyone to open up their Rolodex. And then now let's get this young lady some help. So you're starting to see clients of mine starting to integrate into areas where we really may not feel like we're connected, but we are connected. We just have to now have the confidence again to go after our dreams and turn them into reality.
And I think she makes a good point. You know, the grassroots really is important. People think that you have to have a significant marketing budget to start to get your messaging out there. You know, think about it, for example, 32,000 businesses. Let's assume they employ 5 to 10 people. That's 150 to 300,000 people employed. That's grassroots. If we can get them talking about their businesses, if we can get them going to their neighborhoods, if we can get them using social media, other forms of marketing approaches, if you will, your marketing budget does not have to be that significant. But the challenge is servicing your customer, making sure you're getting your messaging out there, and having people talk about your business.